be able to sacrifice at any moment what you are for what you want to become. Eric Thomas. My dream was, I was a skinny kid growing up, and my dream was always to be that big guy. Why did I want to be big? Because being big meant I was strong and I was powerful. Being the youngest out of the three brothers, I was always the shorter, weaker one growing up. It never occurred to me that I was going to be tall. So I would make my own protein experiments. I would have mixed tuna fish, microwave potatoes, and I would even get the egg whites that you could drink out of the glass. And you would try to drink it without throwing up at the same time. My training was push-ups, pull-ups, but I skipped leg day. And there was no substitute for hard work. But that big moment never arrived when I was a teenager. Okay, this lesson is that the story represents that dissatisfaction. I'm going to share with you a parable about a stone cutter. There once was a stone cutter who was dissatisfied with his position in his life, right? And a high official passed by, and he saw the high official, and he was like, how powerful that official is. I want to become that official. And then he became the official, and he was carried around in a leather embroidered chair, and everybody wanted to be him, and he was feared by everybody. But then there was a hot summer day, and the sun was unaffected by his presence. And he was like, how powerful that sun is. I wish I could be the sun. Then he became the sun. And so he was scorching on the fields. The farmers, the laborers cursed, they didn't like the sun. One day, a storm cloud came in between the sun and the earth. And he could no longer shine on the land. So he said, how powerful that storm cloud is. I wish that I could be this storm cloud. Then he became the storm cloud, and he was raining and flooding the fields, and all cursed by all the laborers. And then one day, something blew the storm cloud away, and he was like, it was the wind. How powerful is the wind? So then he became the wind, uprooting trees, blowing off tiles off of roofs, until finally he came up across something that he couldn't move. It was a rock. So he's like, I want to be a rock. It's more powerful than anything on the earth. So he becomes the rock. Then one day he hears a hammer against him. He feels himself being changed. And then he looks down. What's more powerful than a rock? And he sees the figure of a stone cutter. So that story represents that we're all powerful in our own way. We all have a place. So with Toastmasters, my ability is changing, just like those obstacles in the story. And I have to find that power that's just below the surface. That reminds me of a time when I was in school and there was a problem I couldn't figure out, and the teacher looked at me and told me, you're smarter than you think you are. So we don't know our own strength, so we just have to keep learning. I'm going to share with you a quote by Robert Frost. It says, never allow yourself to be bullied. Never become somebody's victim. You define yourself. There's this one time that reminds me of when I was bullied in 8th grade. And I told the bully, meet me behind the supermarket at 6 o'clock and we'll settle it. So I'm thinking he's going to get scared and he's going to back down. But that just made him more upset. So the next day he sees me after class and he begins fighting me. So I'm thinking, there's 15 people here, somebody's going to stop it, I wouldn't have to worry. But no, they all watched. And he never bothered me again after that. But the lesson is, you know, sometimes you have to lose the battle to win the war. So I'm going to share with you a story about my son. I take my son to watch Spider-Man when he's 5 years old. And he's amazed about how the power of a human could have the power of an insect. And he liked the movie. So the following week, he goes to school, and I pick him up the next day, and I see a huge bite on his hand. And I said, "Where did you get that bite from?" He said, "No, nothing. I was looking for lizards." So I didn't believe that story. So I take him home, and my wife got the confession. He said he was sticking his hand under the stairway looking for spiders. So the lesson is, don't take your 5-year-old son to see Spider-Man. The following year, he goes to kindergarten, and he's used to hearing Spanish, so the teacher doesn't understand him. She informs us that he has a 70% chance to be illiterate. So my wife immediately starts to try to teach him more English, and she constantly reads to him, usually before night, before bedtime. Fast forward 5 years later, 2016, they call my son to the lectern at graduation. "Dominic, please come to the podium. We have a certificate." He not only gets his reading award that he got every year since kindergarten, he gets a second award for second place in the school of 2,000 students for the best reader.
Oh, wow.
So the lesson of that story is you never give up. In summary, I'm going to end with a quote. "Adversity doesn't make the man. He reveals him to himself." And just like those lessons and trials in the story, we have to keep learning, keep going to meetings, and we all can be great.